I'm going to build an app from scratch using AI, and I'm going to do it all until I make a profit and within the time frame of the Bolt Hackathon, which is happening right now and ends on June the 30th. I'm going to do one of these videos every week, which just takes you through my process, all of the steps that I've done to build my app, to find customers, and to get it to a point where it can actually make a profit. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing step by step along the way. If you don't know me, my name is Chris, and for the last 15 years, I've been designing apps and advising startups on product and design. And I believe the next wave of incredible businesses are going to be built using these AI tools. And so with that said, let's get straight into part one and see how I set up my AI built app.
Build great product. Build great product.
Okay, so here's my idea for what I want to build for the Bolt Hackathon. So basically, I have this issue where, as a designer, using AI image generation tools like Midjourney, so Midjourney is really good because it has these extra bits in here where you can like use an image that you like as an image prompt or as a style reference and like add character references here. But all of this is AI generated imagery. So my first problem here that I want to try and solve, and this is a really good tip if you're looking for ideas to build as an app, if you're trying to build something, think about what problems you can solve for your own workflows, for your own processes. What things are annoying that you wish you could do better or could be done better or solved with an app. And so my first problem here is that all of this kind of inspiration, and the same with like Visual Electric and any other image generation tool, is this is all AI image generated stuff. But actually, if I'm doing a branding project, a brand identity project for a company, for a startup, a lot of the inspiration isn't just coming from AI generated sources. So what if I wanted to understand how to prompt to recreate a photo of something? Or what if I wanted to mix AI image generated stuff with real life inspiration in order to create new sets of images? And so my idea for an app really focuses around like, okay, what does a single place look like where I could store all of my visual inspiration for one project, and also figure out what the prompts are to kind of create assets that are going to fit in with the style of that project. So what if you had like a style prompt for an entire project, for example, that covered like all of your assets? And what if you could add in inspiration from other sources and get the style prompts for those images? So if I took a photo of like a painting and I got the style prompt for that painting as an example. So that's where I really started from here. And I wanted to look at like what the current tools already do. So you've got like in Midjourney, you can see like here, it gives you the prompt for this image. So this is obviously an image that's been created from that prompt, but could we go backwards? Could we like create a prompt from an image? What if you started with an image and you wanted to get the prompt and it wasn't necessarily like an AI generated image? So how could we create a tool that does that? The other pain that I want to try and maybe solve here as well is that I wanted to instead of having like all of these different images stored in like files on my desktop or on my computer, can I just like have one place like online where I can store all of the references for one project? And there's been like apps that I know in the past that have tried to do this before, like basically Dropbox for like inspiration. But I want to try and do Dropbox for your creative inspiration for a specific project and bring in AI into that as well. And I don't know if that exists anywhere yet. I haven't been able to find anything that does it anyway. And Midjourney has the best set of features for this, to be able to just like drop in a prompt off the back of an image and use the image style, use it as a style reference, all of that sort of stuff. So that got me thinking, and I want to jump next into my process. So I have a process for this. I'm building a community, which is called the AI App Builders Academy, around creating apps using AI tools. And so I'm going to jump into my first step in building AI apps, which is validation. So now I've got an idea, I want to validate it with the market to see if this is something that's worth building that people might actually pay for. So what I did off the back of this, as part of this first week of getting stuck into the Bolt Hackathon, is I used I have a prompt here in ChatGPT that I use to validate app and startup ideas. And I created this prompt. It's a 7-step prompt. It's a single prompt that takes you through 7 steps. And it asks ChatGPT to basically act as your kind of advisor to walk you through these 7 steps of validating your app idea. I'm going to put together a video like breaking down this prompt in more detail, and also if you want access to this prompt, just comment down below and I'll post it somewhere on this video as well. One thing also worth mentioning here is that I have this folder set up in ChatGPT which is called Strategic Advisor. So if I go over to this, I've got a specific set of instructions here for my Strategic Advisor to basically it's someone who's built multiple $1 million startups before. It focuses on like leverage points that create impact, identify critical gaps holding me back. It's honest and quite blunt and to the point as well. And so that strategic advisor chat is also going to impact the response I get here from this idea validation prompt. So let's go through this idea validation prompt really quickly. I'll cover it in a lot more detail in another video, but basically what it's going to ask me is, step 1, we want to figure out what the core problem is. So I already have a rough idea of what the problems I'm trying to solve for this are. Are they the right problems to be solving? Number 2, it's going to assess my founder market fit. So let's just go through these one by one as it's kind of giving me the answers back. So reverse engineer the idea to the core problem. So I've given it here like a spiel about my idea for an app. So reverse engineer the idea down to the core problem. So it said building an app we want to save images in one place, quickly copy images to clipboard for easy use, generate and copy style prompts based on uploaded reference images. So now it's asked us to answer these questions about the friction, the pain, the value proposition. I've given it loads of stuff. I'm not going to go through this every single step. I'll kind of just go through each step as an overview. But basically, what this does is this just helps give me the confidence that my idea is actually something worth building. And so it said basically like, I've got a good founder market fit for this because this is a problem that I experience, and I've been a designer for the past 15 years, so I kind of know how to speak in that language. And I actually struggle with writing good prompts for generating images myself as well. So this is a tool that selfishly I would benefit massively from. It's one thing that's really good about going through this type of conversation is that it's going to give me like gaps in my knowledge. So blind spots to watch here is like technical execution. I'm strong in design, but do I have the technical resources to execute this without friction? So that's where AI is going to help me out, and also scaling beyond the initial community. So like this might be a little bit of too niche of an idea. So it's good to be aware of that. It's put together like an ideal customer profile for me here with some demographics, which is going to give me a good idea of who to target, of who to first like start speaking to when I'm building this idea. And I appreciate like I haven't actually built anything in Bolt yet, because I think this one step, the validation step before actually building your idea, is probably one of the most critical pieces that people overlook when it comes to actually building an app that is going to get customers and get people paying for it. And I'm also going to be breaking down like how to do this fully in my community. It's given me insights and opportunities from my ideal customer persona, so simplified prompt creation, centralized organization, quality and consistency assurance for image generation. It's also, it goes into Reddit and looks at subreddits to see what people are talking about and what are big pain points, and validating whether the pain points that I have identified are correct. It's then helped me to increase the value of my idea. So there are a few ways that you can increase the value of whatever idea you have. And generally that tends to be like by narrowing the use case. So being hyper specific about who you're targeting, shortening the time to get results. So this really helped like So one of the suggestions here, which I thought was really, really good, was to integrate directly with platforms like Instagram to capture image references instantly. So if I can get someone signing up to this app and then pull their saved images from Instagram, that's going to get them set up on this platform immediately. Their references are already going to be there, and they're going to have prompts to create imagery straight away from things that they've already saved. I save images all the time on Instagram that I like the look of. I don't know how to recreate them in AI, so let's see if we can do that through this. And improving the quality of the results. So we're going to want to test the how do we prompt AI to create a style prompt from an image. We're going to want to test that, and I'm going to do that in a bit here as well. It then helps refine the idea further and does a bit of research around market landscape and how do you differentiate. So it talks about like what process you're going to use, what's your belief, what's your personality, and what's your target customer, and it gives you like different options for these. So like how can you differentiate based on any of these kind of parts of your business? Differentiating on any of these is just going to help you stand out amongst the competition, basically. And then the last step here is basically going to give me a build plan with the AI tools that I need to use. And then it gives you a roadmap here as well. I've told it to use Bolt and Supabase because I specifically want to use these because we're doing this for the Bolt Hackathon. And this is broken down basically. Step 1, rapid prototyping. Step 2, set up Supabase. Integrate Instagram APIs, connect GPT for automated prompt generation, implement simple user feedback loop, and then add user authentication and management, and then set up analytics, and then deploy and iterate rapidly. I think we might do some of these in a different order, but it's good to know like exactly what I need to do here to actually build this app. The other way that I like to validate ideas here, quick break in the episode to talk about my community for people who are building apps with AI and actually want to make a profit. It's called the AI App Builders Academy. So if you're building an app using Bolt or Lovable or Cursor or any other AI tool and you actually want to make a profit, then this is the community for you. Inside, you'll get access to a community of other builders, weekly Q&As and demo days, and my full Product to Profit course covering everything you need to know to validate your idea, build your app, and then grow it from your first customers and beyond. You'll also get access to all of my startup frameworks from my 15 years experience of designing apps and advising startups on product and design. So if you're building an app with AI and you actually want to make a profit from it, head over to school.com/AI apps and join the community. I'll see you there. Is to just look at Google Trends and see if these terms that I'm building for are actually things that people are searching for. So we're going to have a look at AI image prompt as like a term, and I would always change these to worldwide and past 12 months or past 5 years. So that's a really good indication. We can see like for AI image prompt, people are searching more and more. That's increasing over time. We're going to look at AI image prompting. Not too much for that. AI prompt engineering. Prompt engineering is probably going to be going up as well. Prompt engineering. Design. AI tools. That's perfect. That's going up massively over time as well. So I think we can hit on some really good search terms for this idea. And I think we can tap into like something that people are really, really interested in right now. I know from being in the design industry that design has been hugely changing in the last 6 months because of the release of certain AI tools. ChatGPT image specifically. So I feel like this is a really, really good time to capitalize on the changing paradigm in design and AI. And tons of designers are now aware to like, oh, I have to pay attention to AI. So what tools should I be using? So I think this is a really good place to start building. I wanted to also show you this because this is also something that I like to do when I'm working on ideas for apps that I want to build. This is in Sooner.so, which is an AI agent agent tool, general purpose AI agent, a bit like Manus. And what I've asked it to do is basically to just create me like a market research report for competitors and other tools in this space, and also look at what the kind of general feeling and what people are talking about around AI image generation for design and creativity. And so what it's done is it's gone to these specific subreddits, it's analyzed those, it's found out that about current methods for saving reference images, so manual folder structures, digital whiteboarding tools, AI Pinterest clones, so like lexica.art was cited here, which I did have a look at, which is more just like an inspiration board, and it is very specifically AI targeted, so it's still not like solving the problem particularly well. Screenshotting and browser bookmarks, again, these are all like other tools that are designed for something else that people are using, so that's a really, really good sign that there's nothing here yet. Ways designers are solving the problem of saving reference images, ad hoc local storage, manual tagging, general purpose tools, again, so I don't think there's, and then community driven prompt sharing, so there's no like place where people are going to kind of like create good prompts or store all of these references for different projects. Key insights into the market, what people are looking for, streamlined workflow integration, which I thought was really interesting. So like, how does this tool integrate with other creative tools that people might be using? That could be a good area to focus on, but I think maybe not for an MVP because it feels very technically difficult. And so that's another tip here to when you're going through this kind of validation steps, is to think about your MVP should be a simple one feature MVP, and that one feature should be the best feature to address the pain that you're trying to solve. And so I don't want to do the workflow integration because I don't have a tool yet that's actually decent that people are going to use. And so let's build the tool and the one feature first, and then we can figure out workflow integration maybe a bit further down the line. Automated style prompt generation, perfect. That's what I want to do here. Visual search and organization could be interesting. Consistency in AI outputs, that's going to be hard to do, but I think we'll try our best to get something that's really, really high quality, like every time a style prompt is generated. Curation of AI generated content, I don't want to do that. There's already loads of tools out there that do that. And then recommendations here is like prioritize automated style prompt extraction, which is great. That's what we're going to do. Okay, so that market research report was really useful for coming up with the foundations for this idea. I then went on to mapping out what I thought like a good user flow for this might be. And so what I started looking at, I did this journey first, and this was more based around this feature of like uploading and importing from into Instagram or Pinterest. I then wanted to like remap this out because I had an idea for like a tagline or an idea for like a value proposition from this, which is basically like inspiration comes from everywhere, not just AI imagery. So here's how you can recreate anything with AI. Imagine that, like recreate any sort of visual asset with AI, and this tool can help you do that and organize it all in one place. So how are we going to do that? What's the first feature? Because that seems really big and a really hard thing to do. So my idea here was that we start off from a landing page, obviously, authentication, Google login ideally. So we're going to want to set up Google authentication in Supabase on the project. You then want to have a paywall. So I know from best practice from building apps over the last 15 years that a large percentage of signups to paid signups for a product come from the user paying before they've even used the product. And that seems a bit crazy, but that's just what a lot of people do. They see the value on the landing page, they're convinced of it, and then they pay. And so we always want to make sure, and that's a top tip, if you're building an app in Bolt or Lovable, if you're building for the hackathon, make sure you have an option for people to pay before they even get into your product, because people will do it. Obviously, if your product is bad and it doesn't solve the problem, then people are going to be annoyed with that. But if your product is good, if your app is good and it does solve the problem well, then people will be happy that they paid. So always include that paywall at the beginning of that user journey. You can include it at the end of the onboarding flow as well, which a lot of people do. But either way, I think you want to include it before you actually get into using the tool, because a lot of people will pay. Step one of the sign up process, I want it to be creating your project or creating a collection. So like imagine and put yourself in the shoes of a brand identity designer. So I'm designing a brand identity for a company. They've just asked me to start a project for them to create their brand identity. I'm beginning to like collect all these sources of inspiration. So I might see something when I'm in a museum that I'm inspired by. I might see something on Instagram I'm inspired by. I might take a photo of a certain composition or a certain type of lighting that I'm inspired by. And I want to bring together like all of these pieces of inspiration into one place when I'm starting that project. And so let's get you started with like creating a project or a collection. I think this step should potentially be skippable because it requires people who don't have a project or a collection to maybe make one up or to like come up with something on the spot, which can be difficult. We might even want to just like get rid of that step completely, to be honest. Step 2 then would be like connect your Instagram. I don't want to do Instagram and Pinterest here because I think that's going to be too much work. I'm just going to do Instagram because I know I already do it. So I'm just going to do Instagram. I can test it better because then I can see what of my saved references can I bring in here. I then want to be able to select images to upload from my Instagram saved feed. So we're going to want to use the Instagram API for this, which we're going to need to connect to our app. And once I've brought in images from Instagram, or if it's failed, I can also give the option to like upload imagery manually, because as I said, inspiration comes from multiple places, and we want to give people a way of like just putting all their inspiration in one place. So you can upload stuff manually there. I think there might be better ways like further down the line of having like a browser extension or something which allows you to like capture things like immediately where you are, or it could be work as a mobile app potentially as well, but I want to like keep it simple to start off with, so just image upload I think we're going to have there. I then want to take people into the like a dashboard tutorial. So this will land them on their dashboard and it will say like, here's where you find your images, here's where you upload new images, here's where your collection is, and here's how you generate style prompts for the project, and here's how you generate style prompts for each image that you've added in. We're then going to have a loop of being able to upload new images, generate the style prompt, and then after you've generated a style prompt, what I really wanted to do with this app, and what I think is a really good tip in general, if you're building an app, is to have like a core feedback mechanism, a feedback loop inside that app that is going to help users to build value over time when they're using the app. And so the core feedback loop that really, really simply here is that if someone generates a style prompt from something they've uploaded, I want to then ask them, oh, why not upload the thing that you just created with that style prompt? So the journey here would be like, I copy the style prompt from the image I've uploaded. I go over to like a mid journey, I put in my style prompt, and I create a set of new imagery. Okay, we'll put that new imagery back in this platform. And then you can also, again, generate another style prompt from that if you want to as well. That will kind of like give this feedback loop of continually adding and building up value in the platform. And then I've got some other features that you can do here, obviously just like view the image. So that would just be like a pop-up with the image in, and then the two options really, which is generate a style prompt or copy the image to the clipboard. So I want to give people a really easy way of like copying an image to their clipboard, just to be able to go to like whatever image generation tool they're using, because you might not be using Midjourney, you might be using ChatGPT, in which case you just want to paste an image straight into the chatbot there. So that is the user journey for this app that I'm going to want to build in Bolt.new. So we've got that down. What did I do next? I wanted to think about what is my minimum viable brand identity for this product. So I want to give myself like a little bit of a visual identity here because number one, it's in the design space. And so designers care about what things look like. And so this needs to look good. So what's the brand identity here? And number two, I want to tap into like any existing trends that are happening right now in design, if I can, because people will see that and they will gravitate towards it. And so I know that Brett from Design Joy has been talking a lot about this Renaissance, neo-Renaissance kind of image style, especially, and that's related to his new branding agency called Sevenform. And so I want to kind of lean a bit into this kind of Renaissance painting style as well. I'm not going to like directly copy, because I think we can create some really interesting imagery that's distinct and unique from what Brett has done. But to start off with, we're going to go with like this Renaissance kind of look and feel, landscape Renaissance paintings, basically. So any of these landscapes, and what I really want to do is like pull this style image into like an AI image generator. And because like our product is about AI image generation, we need to have like absolutely killer imagery here. It needs to be incredible. It needs to be like so good. And so I'm going to create some where there's like these like maybe shining like modern like chrome glowing obelisks in these like Renaissance landscape paintings, just to create something absolutely amazing looking for like the landing page when you land on that. And maybe like use some video generation tools to like make some just incredibly like moving, like hyper detailed landscapes here that we can use to like grab people's attention. And then what I kind of did from that was just to create like this basic brand and a basic kind of look and feel in Figma. So I use Figma every day. I know kind of like the tool inside out. And so here is my really rough like starter for 10 of like a logo, the kind of brand direction that we're doing here, and then some UI. So the logo is like combining this pixelated font with like a modern condensed italic serif font here. And from an image standpoint, I think we can do something like this. The project is going to be called refs.design, and I've got the domain for refs.design. So it's all about refs, as in like refs is your image references. And it's this concept that like image references are the key, and inspiration is like the key to creating great visually stunning work in AI. And so this is my initial idea for like a UI as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this into Bolt and see how well it can build this one page. And then from that one page, we're going to flesh out the rest of the app functionality around this. So this would be your dashboard, basically, where you have your projects. You have your projects here that you can move between, and under the projects you have all of your image references that you've uploaded. You can search your references, and then on each image, if you hover over the image, you get this style prompt option and then a copy to clipboard. And if you click on the image, you can view that image larger. And so I wanted to like give Bolt a really well designed like first page to kind of create, and then we can use all of those components to kind of like flesh out the rest of the app as we build it. So one other thing that I wanted to talk about quickly as well before we actually get into any sort of build here was that before even building anything, one thing that I also like to think about is how do I distribute the app? How am I going to kind of pre-sell it before actually building anything? And so one idea is I wanted to see like what was some compounding actions that I could do to kind of like grow this over time. One of the suggestions that it pulled out here was like share a visual prompt use case on social media. And so I think like my process for approaching social media and organic content when it comes to growing a business or building momentum for an app or a startup is to kind of share the process, is to show how you get the result, show the thing being done, show how you actually do it, because that's what's engaging. And so I think here, like, because AI imagery is kind of in this little moment right now where it's got a bit of focus, I think going from like showing like bad prompt to good prompt output will actually have like get like a lot of traction on social. So what I'm going to start to try and do alongside building this app is to build a bit of distribution and momentum onto a wait list through a landing page, just by posting kind of before and after with like bad versus good prompt for imagery, and try and create some like really stunning imagery using AI image generators, just to like, so that people kind of stop in their tracks when they're looking through their feed. And I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to focus on Twitter, I think, to start off with, and then maybe try some other platforms. And this is like another thing that you can do if you're thinking about building distribution or growing your app, is to just say like, what are some daily and weekly like compounding actions that I can do to try and sell this to people, or try and build like a bit of a wait list before I even finish like building my MVP. What I've also done in this chat that I just want to show is like, I'm not going to go through it in too much detail, is I also asked it to outline a one feature MVP that I can build off the back of this idea. And so it's given me like all the specs for this one feature MVP here, which is like all of these different steps, a core feedback loop, fallback and edge cases. It's given me loads of stuff here. So yeah, the last thing to do here, actually, I want to do a couple of things. So I really want to like build this in Bolt, but I also want to just do a quick test here with ChatGPT to see, like, I've uploaded this image to ChatGPT. So I have a project here on ChatGPT, a folder called Creative Director. The instructions for this Creative Director basically say that it's a master AI prompt engineer, and it can create the best prompts for AI image generation. And it's an experienced creative director, and it's created stunning visuals across multi-million-dollar campaigns. So I want to test, like, with my AI creative director here, can it create a prompt, a style prompt for this image that would allow me to recreate that style with any subject that I put into like Midjourney or something. So let's like, I just want to submit this. So I said, like, from this image, create a precise definition of the style as a prompt I can use in Midjourney to recreate this image style exactly, knowing everything you know about prompt engineering for creating stunning imagery. Let's send it off. Here we go. So it said, we need to lean into the stylistic DNA of 18th century romanticism, especially the works of Thomas Gainsborough and Thomas Cole. Bake in elements like dynamic, sublime, natural, grandeur. I never would have used that phrase, but it's great. And painterly detail. Okay, so here we go. Look, it's created, and you can see like these other, there's some Midjourney stuff on the end there. Look at that. Dramatic, romantic landscape painting, 18th century style, sublime nature with towering cliffs, lush green forest. Okay, so it's got a little bit of the subject matter in there, which I kind of don't want. I want to like remove a bit of the subject matter stuff here. So what I'm going to do is like, let's just put this into Midjourney and like see what it creates, because I'm really interested. Just to see what it comes back with. I'm going to be honest, as like a first prompt here, that is pretty good. If you look at this, let's look at this image. Look at that image. And then look at this image. That's pretty good. I think we've recreated that pretty spot on. And that wasn't even with the image reference. That was just with that prompt from that image that I put into ChatGPT. So what I wanted to test here was basically like, if I uploaded an image, could I like, if someone uploaded an image on Refs, could I send that image to OpenAI via API, and then generate the prompt and then send the prompt back to Refs and then show that to the user on the front end? And I think it's 100% possible here. We have created like a really good style prompt for this, like that one, based on that, based compared to like this. It's like so close. It's incredible. Amazing. I want us to see if it's got like, okay, so it's got Rembrandt style in there, Rembrandt style contrast. So it is referencing Rembrandt here. So maybe that is helping it create like, what I'm going to do, not in this video, is I'm going to try and like use this style, but apply it to like a different context or like a different content. So like, what would a product mock-up look like in this exact style? For example, like imagine an iPhone, but done in this style. I think that would be pretty insane. Maybe I'm just a bit of a nerd for that stuff. So the last thing that I'm going to do here is we're going to take this in Figma. I'm going to copy the link to the selection, go over to bolt.new, and then import from Figma. We put the Figma URL in there, and then let's import it into Bolt, and let's see how well it replicates this design. And there we go. So Bolt hasn't done a too bad job of building this refs dashboard in code. Like, some things aren't working. Obviously you've got like an image of a cursor over here and these buttons aren't quite right, and this image here is slightly off. It's not fitting in the same sort of style as these. But overall, like, this is a really good starting point. So the reason I wanted to start from a design was to really just nail down the design style first. And then what I'm going to do from here is to create my prompt to turn this into a more fully featured app that has kind of that core user journey that I mapped out on the whimsical here. So that's got this user journey. So I'll be working on that over the course of the next week, and then you can watch the episode next week to break down how I wrote that kind of first prompt to add in that functionality, connecting Superbase and a bunch of other stuff here to actually start making this work. How we're going to build the automation for generating these style prompts from images I'll probably use make.com to set up that automation and connect Bolt to a webhook so that when you upload an image, it's going to generate the style prompt for you. But here we've got the first page on our app, and I'm excited to continue this. Hopefully this has been useful, and you can watch the rest of my journey over the next few weeks, just so we can build out something through this hackathon, and hopefully this can help you build whatever you're building as well. So that's part one of my journey to building a profitable app for this Bolt Hackathon event. Hopefully that has been useful to you a little bit and showed a little bit of my thought process, how I go about validating an app idea and then creating the first kind of user journey and the one feature MVP, and also how to use ChatGPT to kind of advise you strategically on the right path to building it, and to use AI agents to do some market research around your idea, and then to actually translate that initial kind of vision of your idea into a rough prototype on Bolt. I'm starting off from a design point of view. I have a design background, so I've built it in Figma, but you can start off from a bunch of different places. Either start off from building out the functionality in Bolt, or start off from just creating one page and then scaffolding each page as you go. I'm interested to see what everyone else is building during this event, and if you enjoyed this, then you can follow along for part 2 next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video as well, and you can sign up for all of my startup and product building frameworks over at buildgreatproducts.com. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Build great products. Build great products.